Morning, everybody. We'll begin today's session. There's the first question. Parts of letter have been hidden by vertical strips in the given option. Which option contains a meaningful word with correct spelling? All right, let's do this. So the first wala option A wala jo part hai, usme the word is RORGET, not a correct word. Next wala EOTATR, sorry, EOTARE, again not a correct word. उसके बाद वाला FOTCTE, not a correct word. D वाला जो है suggest ROTATE, which is a correct word. So D is the correct answer here. Okay, we'll move to the next one. A sequence of man sleepwalking is shown. Which frame is incorrect? We have to identify the frame that is incorrect. Okay. A, B, C or D, which is incorrect. Now, if this is the first one, which is the correct one, आप immediately अपना blue, अपना जो पीछे वाला पाँव है वो आगे नहीं कर सकते हो. Directly how it is shown in A. You need intermediate steps followed by which ये आगे आएगा. So A is the one which is the incorrect one. A is the correct answer. Okay. We'll move to the next one. Which option will replace this question mark? Figure 1 will add with figure 2, will add with figure 3 to produce the final ultimate figure 4 here. Okay. We have to identify figure 3 mein kya aayega. All right. When you compare all the options together, we see that A, B, C और D का जो tip है वो अलग अलग है. B में एक 2 है, C में there is one single pixel there. If you look at the figure 1 and figure 2, यहाँ पे figure 1 में जो tip है वो यहाँ पे आ जाएगा, followed by this and followed by another one in figure 1. So we just need basically one figure, ये वाला और ये वाला तो ये same है, ये वाला जो pixel है वो उसके लिए we just need one pixel there. Henceforth figure B जिसमें 2 pixel है वो गलत है. A, C and D are fine, not a problem. Between A, C and D, when you compare, we'll just look at this much part here. ये वाला जो part है, we'll just look at that, which is different in all of them. Okay. Now, if you look at that part, it happens actually somewhere here. यहाँ पे कहीं पे. Within that, we see that ये empty space है and we need 2 pixels here. वो जो 2 pixels है वो A में दिए है, C में भी है, D में वो 2 pixel नहीं है. So D is wrong. A and C again when you compare, we find that यहाँ पे we have 2 diagonal pixels and then C में you have an L pixel. Here we actually need 2 diagonal pixels here because ये वाला जो part है is already, ये वाला जो part है is already getting filled by this. So we need 2 diagonal pixels which will fit here. So C is wrong. A is the correct answer. Okay. We'll move to the next one. Which option will replace this question mark here? In this case, how does the addition happens? This plus this is this diagram. So, इसमें क्या हो रहा है? This diagram is, if you observe, the final figure is rotating 45 degree. और ये वाला जो circle वाला part है, it's rotating 45 degree clockwise. और ये anti-clockwise हो रहा है. So, if this, when you add all of them together, we'll find this figure. यहाँ पे भी वो same चीज हो रहा है. This rotates clockwise 45 degree. Sorry, anti-clockwise. Yeah, anti-clockwise. I'm sorry. This rotates clockwise, not anti-clockwise. I'm sorry, clockwise 45 degree. So ये नीचे आ जाता है, ये ऊपर आ जाता है. This even if you rotate, it remains as it is, so not a problem. यहाँ पे ये rotate हो रहा है 45 degree और ये stays as it is, so it's fine. So in the final figure, which is a question figure, both of them are rotating 45 degree, which means they remains the same क्योंकि ये angle जो है वो 45 degree है. So this stroke will come here, this stroke will come here, which means it looks as it is. Means आप ये दोनों को जब आप add करोगे 45 degree rotate करने के बाद, the final figure will look exactly how the question figure is. Henceforth, C is the correct answer. We'll move to the next one. A perspective view of 4 frames spaced from near to far at equal intervals is seen on the left. The frames perfectly aligned without any overlaps. The options show the same frames arranged side by side on a single plane. Which of the frames in the options is the farthest from the viewer in the perspective view? Okay. Now in perspective view, when you observe, the farthest the object is, the smaller it appears. The closer the object is, the bigger it appears. Now, if I compare the inner versus the outer figure, we'll find that A wala jo part hai, it has to be this particular frame which we see here. Henceforth, A appears big, but actually in perspective it looks small. So A is the one which is actually the farthest from the viewer because it appears the smallest versus it's one of the bigger frames. Okay, we'll move to the next one. A piece of paper is folded and cut as shown below, which is the correct option when the paper is unfolded. Okay, so in this case, this is how the unfolding sequence will happen. Ye aisa hai. फिर you are folding along, first fold is along the diagonal. So you are folding it along the diagonal axis like this. So ये ऐसा दिखेगा. Then you are unfolding it along the horizontal axis followed by vertical one. Henceforth, it will look like this. So C is the one which is the correct answer here. We'll move to the next one. What is the total area of the black image below? ये जो black image है उसका total area क्या है? उस यहाँ पे आपको x का module दिया है. Okay. Now in this case, if I just divide this into parts, where this is one part, this is one part, this is another part. If I just decode one part of it, this one stroke, because that stroke is repeating 4 times. This stroke is made up of 2x square. ये वाला value है वो x square है, x by x है, so इसका area is x square. And in this case, when I can take this part and fit it here easily. So this also area forms to be x square. One stroke is made up of x square, and we have, one stroke is made up of 2x square plus x square, 2x square, and we have 4 such strokes. So answer is 8x square. Henceforth, D is the correct answer. Okay, we'll move to the next one. An animator is animating a bouncing ball along the dotted path. Which option is false? Okay. First option says in the position P, the ball will stretch vertically. In position P, yes, the ball will stretch vertically because we have to show the force is exerting downward. In B, so A is fine, not a problem. B says in position R, the ball will remain same. Yes, ये वाला neutral position है तो यहाँ पे ऐसा ही रहेगा. So B is also fine. C says in position Q, the ball will stretch horizontally. Q में, yes, because the pressure is exerted downward. Q वाले में वो horizontal हो जाएगा. So C is also fine, and D says in position S, the ball will remain as it is. No, in fact, in position S also force is exerted downward, so the ball will actually stretch vertically like we see in P. So D is the one which is the incorrect statement, false statement. Okay, we'll move to the next one. Which among the following options is the correct top view? Correct top view is what we have to find. In this case, when you compare all the options together and try to find the difference, they look very similar, but when you try to find the difference between all of them, what we'll find is in the option A, B, C and D, D वाला में ये वाला perpendicular to the bar है, exactly perpendicular to the bar है, versus if you look at the spacing that is there here and here in D, it's exactly, so it's very similar in fact, versus that spacing is actually more here in the question figure than we have it here. So D wala option galat hai. With reference to that same part, if you look at the first 2 figure in terms of spacing, what we'll find is ये वाला spacing और ये वाला spacing आप B वाले option में देखोगे, it's kind of similar. ऊपर थोड़ा ज्यादा है, नीचे थोड़ा कम है. Versus it's उल्टा, पीछे के साइड पे, नीचे के साइड पे ज्यादा है, यहाँ पे कम है. So B गलत है. A and C again, when you compare together, the difference that happens between A and C is that of the second figure. Second वाला जो cycle है ये perpendicular है और उसमें भी ये distance और ये distance में ज्यादा फर्क नहीं है. It's again very less versus यहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा distance and it comes out also more. So A is the one which is wrong here. C is the one which is the correct answer. Okay, we'll move to the next one. Annual profile chart of a company is given. Which option is the correct statement? Okay. So option A says percentage increase between 1965 and 70 is more than 75%. 1965 में it was 40, 70 में it became 75. The difference between them is 35. With reference to the base figure will be 40. So the increase percentage आपका आएगा 87.5. which is definitely more than 75. Hence, we got our correct answer. Option A is the one which is the correct one. Okay, we'll move to the next one. The image on the left is rotated 90 degrees clockwise and then flipped along the vertical axis. Which option represents the resultant figure? So we are given here this figure, which transforms to when rotated 90 degrees becomes like this, and then further flipped along vertical axis looks like this. Henceforth, D is the correct answer. We'll move to the next one. One square and 4 triangles are given below, are used to make shapes without overlapping. Among the options, which is the shape that cannot be made? Cannot be made there. Okay. So this is how the breakup of the shapes happens in the option. A may we find all 5 of them: square, 2 big triangles and 2 small triangles, medium-sized triangles. B may square, 2 big triangles and medium-sized triangle. C also same, 2 big triangles, square and medium-sized triangle. D में वो नहीं आ रहा है, आपका square form नहीं हो रहा है. Even if you form that square, आपका square यहाँ पे form होगा, which will leave this residue space. So D is the one which cannot be made using the shapes that are provided. We'll move to the next one. A glider toy as shown in the image below is usually made with balsa wood. Due to unavailability of balsa wood, a student is considering an alternative material. Considering the density of the material that is required to make the fuselage, which is this one, which is the most suitable material? Of all of this, is most suitable material is jute plant stem. Okay, we'll move to the next one. Identify the most ideal condition for the boat to approach the station. In this case, in order for the boat to approach a station, your flow of the river should be against the direction of the boat, because if it is moving in the same direction as the flow of the river, तो उसका जो ब्रेक करने के लिए जो प्रेशर है वो आपको ज्यादा डालना पड़ेगा. You'll have to put more force to rotate, of course, the boat, and also to keep it to come to a standstill when it reaches the boat station. Henceforth, it has to be against it. The option C is wrong and D is wrong, जिसमें boat का direction और flow का direction same है. Okay. Now, between A and B, when you compare it, the difference happens with the wind direction. Now, what happens with the wind direction is, in this case, when the wind is blowing in this direction, और ये जब sail खुलेगा तब ये ऐसे खुलेगा, तो ये wind उसको इस तरीके से divert करती है. Hence, in the condition where option A दिया है, वो it moves towards the boat station, versus when wind is flowing in this direction and the sail will open here, तो ये वाले केस में वो नीचे के साइड मूव करेगा, which is opposite to the boat station. Henceforth, A is the one which provides the ideal condition for docking, okay, or approaching the station. We'll end this session here. Thank you so much for your time.